At the end of the lesson, you are expected to define a decision tree, identify the parts of a decision tree, and appreciate the significance of understanding a decision tree. For example, you want to start a business, but then your only problem is that you don't have enough capital to start the business you've been planning for a very long time. So definitely your problem is money. And for you to be able to have this amount of money, what you will have to do is that you're going to have a loan in a bank. But loaning a certain amount in a bank is definitely not automatic because the bank still has a lot of questions to be asked to you. Obviously, in having some loan in a certain bank, there are two decisions that a bank may do. It may approve your loan application or it may deny your loan application. So when the bank says yes to your loan application, it also has to decide more decisions. For example, it may decide on how much, and when this how much is decided, it may also grant you or it may not grant you the certain amount that you would like to loan from them. So this is just a very simple illustration of how a decision can be made by a certain institution, like for example, in this case, a bank. So in this lesson, what we will have is we're going to study about decision trees, and this decision tree is very important in making decision because this will help us to decide from the very top going to the very bottom of our decision making process. So before we continue, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification icon, select all, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to share this with your friends. So let's continue. So speaking of a decision tree, what then is a decision tree? So a decision tree is actually a supervised machine learning algorithm. So I believe at this moment you already know what a supervised machine learning is. And this is used for both classification and a regression. And central to the idea of a decision tree is a series of sequential decisions. Just like, for example, as what we have done here. So here we have some decisions made, approved or rejected. And then since it is approved, then we have another sequence of decision as to how much we're going to loan to a certain person. And after this, there could be some more decisions that a bank may want to undertake until such time there is no more question to be asked to a certain customer or client. So let's go back to this one. So what is the goal of a decision tree? So basically, it is aiming to create a model that can predict a class or a value. Understanding a decision tree, it is always very important to understand the different terms that are used in processing our decision making. So we have the root node, splitting, decision node, the leaf or terminal node. Then we have the pruning, we have the branch or subtree, and then we do have the parent and a child node. So for us to be able to understand each of these terms, we're going to have this one. So this illustration will help us understand the decision tree process. So we're going to have them one by one. So at the very top, we have here the root node. What is this root node all about? This actually represents the entire population or the entire sample of a certain data set or whatever it is that you are studying. So for example, in our case, let's go back to this situation. Here we have our loan. Okay, don't forget that one. So out of this root node, we have two decisions. And because we have these two decisions, we are now going to split it, right? Split. So splitting means that you divide a node into two or more subnodes. So here, in our case, we just use here two nodes, 1 and 2. So as far as our root node loan is concerned, it could be granting or rejecting the loan application. So this is the first node and this is the second node. And both of them, these two decisions are called decision node. So this is the subnode of the root node. When nodes do not split or divide, then we call that a leaf node or a terminal node. So terminal because it does not divide. So say for example, let's just think that this part is not present. So because this part of our decision node is not anymore divided, then 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 4 terminal nodes. So what do you call this one then if it's not a terminal node? So this can be considered our decision node because it is again split into 2 more nodes, right? So I presume that this part is already clear. This can also be called the parent node as far as this one and this one are concerned. This can also be called a parent node as far as this one and this one are concerned. The whole of this part of our illustration is what we call a branch or a subtree. Let me write here branch or subtree. And of course, this part 2 of our illustration is called a subtree or a branch. And the most important thing, or one of the most important things that we have to think about decision tree is what we call pruning. Don't forget this one, it's pruning. And this happens when we remove some of the subnodes of our decision node. Say for example, we would like to remove this one, okay? Or we would like to remove this one. So this is what we call pruning. And pruning is very important because it can simplify our decision tree, and it can also tell a data scientist what features of a certain branch of our decision should be taken into consideration as opposed to other branches or other nodes. So each node of our decision tree is a test case for some attributes. So if you could still remember, the attribute approve is a test case for this kind of decision. So for us to be able to understand why we do the approval of the loan application, then we have to test the different features of this node. And what are these features? It could be that the amount of the application, it could be that the capacity of the borrower to pay for the amount being loaned. So there are actually a lot of things that's going on in making a decision tree. So in this course, we are going to understand a lot of them from the mathematical perspective of a decision tree to the programming perspective. And of course, we have to combine the application of all of these things in a certain real business situation or any situation wherein decision tree is very applicable. What is this for? Why do we have to study this? Knowing the definition and part of a decision tree, you will be able to follow through the process of making a decision. As far as this course is concerned, you will be acquainted with the terms that are vital in this course. After all being said and done, let's try this. What is a decision tree? What are the parts of a decision tree? Why is knowing the parts of a decision tree important? Please write your answers in the comment down below so that we would be able to have a very rich interaction of ideas and we can learn from each other. Do you want to know more about this channel? Just click these cards. You can enjoy our data science courses for free like machine learning algorithm essentials, deep learning mathematics, the different data science tips, the different data science algorithms, and a lot more. Here, you can always learn an upskill for free.